Welcome back to the channel, everyone. In this episode we're going to be learning how to turn any broth or stock into a delicious sauce of my own making that I like to call the pancetta and truffle cream sauce. Now this is going to add a little touch of luxury on your table. It is very versatile, easy to make, and it only requires 4 ingredients. So let's get ready and let's cook. Alright, so let's begin with the ingredients. So for me, for my base, I'm going to be using here a chicken broth. This is the leftover that I had from the poaching of the chicken that we've done last week in my last video. And by adding more flavors into it, look at this, it's turned into a big jelly like this. Now this is really a sign of quality. Now if you want to use any other stock you got in your freezer or is leftover, you don't know what to do with it, if it's not chicken, if it's a veal stock or a beef stock or anything, it will work as well. Now, as an alternative, if you don't have any homemade stock or broth, you can definitely use a good quality store-bought stock. Either chicken, veal is best, but the trick is to pour this into a pan and leave it simmer for 30 minutes with a bunch of vegetables like I do. So you can take some celery, onion, carrots, mushroom, bits of leek, and most important, a few chicken wings that you chop in pieces. Simmer this for 30 minutes and you have a good base to start with. Of course, we're going to be needing cream for that sauce. It's a French sauce. And the only thing I would say is that when you use cream, make sure that you get a good quality one that's got really at least 32 to 35% fat. It's going to really improve the taste of the sauce. And now for the serious stuff, pancetta or bacon. They both are pork belly. They've been treated differently. So the problem with this is a smoked pork belly, aka bacon. As you can see, this is how it looks like. And the standard streaky that we can cut, very thin slices if we want. But this is going to bring some smoky flavor in the sauce, so you can use that. But I much prefer using pancetta. This is a ridiculously small piece because I keep on mousing on the damn thing every night. And before I come to the video, there's nothing left. The difference, this is cured, slightly salted and seasoned, but it's not smoked. And you see these colors on here? It's really like almost like a prosciutto, like a cured ham. And to the sauce, it really adds something totally different compared to the classic bacon. But you can use bacon. For the slices, we have to cut this very thin. There we go. We don't need too much. I'm so addicted with these little things. Look at this. It's so inviting. I eat them raw like this. Oh. For the touch of luxury, we're not going to be using real truffle, but we're using truffle oil. So if you've never used truffle oil, or maybe it's in your cupboard, you don't know what to use, this is a great way of using it in this sauce. Now, most of the oils are chemically reproduced, but this one that I found from a Tasmanian farm, it's olive oil infused with these pieces of truffle, so it makes it a really true, good quality one with some great flavor. So we're going to use this. So there we have it, 4 ingredients. Everything will be listed in a recipe card. We're going to be starting here with the chicken broth, then cream, then pancetta, truffle oil, seasoning, done, ready to serve. Let's go on the stove. So first thing you're going to do, you take a small pan, you take all your stock, all the jelly in here, and high heat. You're going to bring this to a boil. So the broth is boiling. This is a crucial step because it sanitizes your stock or your broth. That was in the fridge for 2 or 3 days. You never know, there might be a little bacteria developing. You kill any bugs in there by sanitizing first. I do this in a separate pan. Next here is the reduction. Anytime you use a stock, when you make a sauce, you need to reduce it to concentrate the flavor. How much do you need to reduce the broth by? It depends. Industry standard from chefs and all the things I've learned, a good quality thing like mine, like a broth, is going to be reduced by half, typically, and something of lesser quality with less taste, reduced by 2/3. But you are in charge. Okay? The benchmark, this is what I'm teaching to all my students in a sauce course. When you reduce your base like this, make sure you use your senses. You take a little bit of it, and as you reduce, you taste. Okay? That's got already some beautiful chicken flavor because it was, used for poaching a chicken and then it was a base stock. But if you taste it is too thin, keep on reducing. When you got the right taste, it means you're ready. So for me, I'm going to reduce by half. I'm going from 400 to 200 ml. My reduction is finished. I'm going to transfer this into another pan so that we have a clear view of what we're doing next. Right, now typically you can use the same pan, but I always like to have another pan in here, and I pass things through a sieve always in case a little piece of something had fall down. Let's bring this back to the boil, let's go. So we're back to the boil, and immediately I'm going to add my cream. So what we're doing here, we've got this beautiful taste, but then suddenly we're diluting everything in here. So if you taste now, you're going to really lose the taste. So of course, what do you have to do in here? We're going to have to reduce again. And when we reduce, you're going to gain the taste back, but most important, the cream that we've added is going to start to give you that semi-thick consistency where it reduces. Same thing, I'm going to reduce perhaps by half. So it's all about time, you know, it's time consuming. You wait in front of your pan, you watch, you let it reduce, you taste, you adjust, that's it. And now for the pancetta. The cream is reducing. I'm starting on a cold pan, I'm putting a very low heat to start with. And it's not like bacon pancetta. You know, you just want to render the fat a little bit and then it's ready. You see, it becomes very kind of translucent. When it cooks, it's almost ready. And the fat has been rendered. And I said I'm going to take it out. So now back to the cream that we've done the pancetta. And what I'm seeing here is that the bubbles on the top have really slowed down. You see, it's like lava. It really struggles to move things around. And that's, for me, a sign that the reduction is done. Okay, I'm going to mix my sauce and look at this. It's not as liquid, but most important, you start to have, because the sauce is not finished, you start to have that spoon coating consistency. See, it sticks to the spoon. So what I'm going to do, which is the industry standard, you don't have to do it because, you know, you use a lot of pan, but typically when you got a large volume like this and the volume is reduced, you're supposed to change pan and take a smaller pan. So I'm going to put this in my favorite small saucepan that I've got there for my sauce making, and we're going to add the final touches. Perfect, so look at this. Once filtered, you see how much better it looks, like how clean, and it's been filtered again through a fine mesh sieve, and this is the kind of restaurant style sauce that starts to be shaping up. I can take my little spoon here, and look at that already. When you filter it, by the time you wait, everything changes. So I'm going to taste that. That's my base. Now we're talking chicken and cream. So from here, no more kind of big boiling and whatever. I'm now having a low heat, okay, and very gently, we're going to start to add other bits. It's more of an infusion process I'm doing here. So I'm having these little pieces of pancetta. And the key when you make this, as Paris Coffee is always saying, is when you add additional ingredients to the mix in something like this, you're adding ingredients to complement the main flavor. You're not adding ingredients that's going to be overpower and take over the main taste of your sauce. So we start here with a base of chicken. It tastes like chicken and cream. That's what we want. With an intonation of pancetta. You don't want to turn your sauce into something that only tastes like pancetta or only tastes like truffle oil. So this is the big difference and the fine line and the refinement in sauce making. Okay, so I'm going to leave this on a very low heat, infuse a little bit, and then we're going to taste. Let's go a bit closer on here. It's been simmering for just a few minutes. And I see these pieces of pancetta everywhere floating around. I'm going to taste again. So now we just have these little gamey flavors. Let me add a little bit of pepper, not too much. And gamey flavors floating around with the fat in there and everything. And now comes the final touches of the truffle oil. So truffle oil is very strong. It's like when you add a spirit and when you add cognac or anything like this. So the trick is always a little bit, especially with truffle, a little bit. So here we're going to add a few drops, a few droplets. Okay, like this, maybe half a teaspoon. And mix and taste. And the trick is to not overpower the sauce, but also you want to keep the fireworks for just before serving. So I'm going to leave that here, this is ready. And if I want just before serving, I can add a few more droplets. But the sauce, in effect, is ready. Look at that. I'm going to cook a little piece of steak, and I think we're going to do a bit of a test drive. Oh, the truffle. This is where it's absolutely everything. Whoa. Now, I've got a piece of steak. I'm just going to do a little pour. And we're going to have that sauce on here quite generously. And what I want to do on here is to add actually the truffle oil. So we have these little droplets, bit of green on here, okay, just to give some color. I'm pretty curious to try that now with the steak. It's a bit of an Eton mess on here, but ooh. I just love sauce, just can't resist, and I've looked all these pieces of juicy steak with that sauce on there. You could even add some pepper if you wanted, but that sauce, I think I could have even add a bit more of that And truffle oil, but wow. You know what, it's a simple sauce, could go with anything. It's really, really good. So to wrap up, second attempt here on the serving with a steak a bit more compact, not too much sauce, and it's a bit more tidy with a garnish on top. This is a piece of tarragon, and this is how you can serve that beautiful sauce. So remember, chicken base, and we've got pancetta, truffle oil, really, really tasty, very versatile. I'm thinking pasta sauce, I'm thinking steak, I'm thinking chicken, I'm thinking dipping sauce for fries, I'm thinking pepper sauce if you had some, a coarsely grinded peppercorn in there and serve it with your steak. There's no end, and it's a very, affordable sauce to make if you have a bit of patience to wait for the reduction. But that's it for this week. I leave you with that picture. Leave me a comment to tell me what you think about that sauce, and tell me perhaps what is your favorite sauce that is not too hard to make. And as for me, I will see you next time for another video on the French Cooking Academy. We'll be finishing our series on compound butter. See you then. Bye-bye.
Whip up my ass.